I did therapy since I was 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
So my therapist used to always say, he said, Jordan, you have that what if demon. He put his hand just like this on his cheek. I said, oh man. You know,
This episode is with Brother Abdul Malik Muhaiymin, also known as Coach Jordon, the founder of AlphaWolf Wellness. He's one of those people who's always in motion. A wellness and movement coach, fitness and self-defense boxing instructor, and honestly, just a lifelong learner. He's got over 10 certifications from ISSA and somehow still keeps studying, training, and growing. But what really stands out about him isn't just the grind, it's the heart behind it. He's building something that goes beyond fitness. Alpha Wolf Wellness is about strength of body, but also of mind and spirit. It's about community, helping youth, adults, and elders alike find discipline, healing, and confidence through movement. We recorded this episode remotely right after I landed in Chicago, literally about an hour after my flight. I was sitting in Oud Café, a Palestinian-owned spot in River North that has become one of my absolute favorite places to visit every time I'm in the city. I was still in my sweatshirt from Tawakal Halal Café in Boston, a beautiful Somali family restaurant that I always make sure to stop by when I'm there. I'm so grateful and so thankful that Coach Jordon was patient with me after I mixed up the time zones and for showing up with the same grounded energy he brings to everything he does. You're listening to Seriously Sara, where we slow down, ask better questions, and talk about what it really means to build, heal, and lead with purpose. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. I'm joined today by Coach Jordon, aka Alpha Wolf, aka Abdul Malik,
so,
aka he is the founder of Alpha Wolf Wellness, Athletic Fitness, and Self-Defense Boxing Academy, a certified trainer with a holistic approach that blends physical strength, mental resilience, and community empowerment. And I think a brother that's really trying to put some good work out there, and I really want to highlight everything that you
yes,
do.
yes,
I am in Oud Café in Chicago currently, hence the artwork, and we love it. So, we like to support the small businesses. So, brother man, can you tell me, how do you describe what you do today?
so what I do today is, I teach about fitness to youth ages from 7 all the way up to elderly, and I teach
Mhm.
self-defense boxing. So I have a gym location in the Philadelphia area in East Falls. Uh, I know you're in Chicago, and it's like 3510 Scotts Lane. That's the address. So that's what I do.
Okay.
I specialize in athletic development, and then I add that self-defense boxing into it. So that's my niche. And then there you go. I mean, something as simple, fitness, wellness, I put a holistic approach to it. And I got like plethora of certs, 10 plus certs from ISSA, online training academy and so forth. Yeah, there you go. Can't hear you.
I muted myself so that the background and stuff wouldn't come out, and then I
Oh,
forgot to unmute
sorry.
myself. That's me. It's me. It's okay.
No,
So when you
no, no.
say when people hear Alpha Wolf Wellness, what do you hope they feel or think of? Like what prompts them? Like what do you think it evokes in them? What would you like it to evoke?
Oh, that's a great question because I have like t-shirts that say become the alpha of your lifestyle. So like
Hmm.
become a leader. You know, when you hear alpha, you hear leadership and so forth. Everybody has their own
Right.
definition of alpha. Some has negative, some has positives. But my positive thing
Hmm.
on it is just, be a leader of your lifestyle. Take care of yourself, pour into your own cup so you can pour into others. And I think this is like one of the questions that if I'm jumping ahead. The
No, you're
reason
fine.
Yeah, the reason I called it the Alpha Wolf is because I had saw like I think it was like Discovery Channel. So I'm a nerd for like animals, right?
Love this.
Yeah, so the wolf is something special, and the wolf is talked about in Islam a few times. So and that was like my approach coming from a spiritual approach to call my business like the Alpha Wolf, even though it sounds like, dominance, but like a lot of people don't understand or may not know. They may not know, like the alpha,
Hmm.
quote unquote, the alpha wolf is in the back of his pack. So I was watching this like Discovery Channel, and the wolves was on a hunt, and they was in a pack. So they were kind of
Hmm.
naming the Omega wolf and the alpha wolf. So the Omega wolf was in the front, the alpha wolf was in the back. So I was like,
Interesting.
oh, yeah, very interesting. So I'm like, okay,
Because
don't watch it.
oftentimes it's put up like the alpha wolf is the one that's up in the front and then
Yes.
doing all the things, but really that's not necessarily the reality of it. That's so cool.
Yeah, so actually, I was talking to another trainer. He actually knew that too. He called himself like the lion. So we're like two geese
Okay.
with, animals and stuff like that with our training business. He was like, yeah. He's like trying to school me. I'm like, I know. He's like, yeah, you know the alpha was in the back? I'm like, yeah, I do. And the alpha will make sure everybody else eat first. And then the
Hmm.
omega in the pack make sure the alpha gets what's left or what make sure, he can get some eat after everybody else gets eat. So that's how I look at with my business. I make sure everybody's in shape or, whatever service they need, make sure they're good, whatever I can provide. And then it all circles back around.
Oh, I think that's very interesting, and the
Yeah.
exploration of leadership, right? That
Yeah.
leadership isn't necessarily being the loudest or the one that's in the front and that's boastful and out there. Sometimes what it
Yeah.
looks like in the context of, and again, in Islam and Allah tells us everything is kind of a parable. There's always some kind of parallel
Yeah.
that's not as direct as you think, and how you pull that from the way a wolf behaves versus what we think an alpha is and what it gets used as, and what its
Yes.
connotation of, like you said, dominance and in charge,
Yes.
aggressive.
Yes.
That's not the reality of it.
Yes. Yes.
I think you also
Yes.
proved it proves that it's a good thing to be a nerd and actually look up real facts versus
Yeah. Yeah. You got to do your research.
society.
So yes.
Right. I
Yeah.
respect that and I appreciate that.
Yes.
Listen, my background's in science, so my I'm not animal science. I'm like human body science, but like I
Well,
respect when my
mashallah.
kids. Somebody made fun of me. A kid made fun of me. Said, "Don't you know what the ocean?" I said, "No, I don't know ocean science. I know biology science." I was like, "Don't get them
Mashallah.
twisted. It ain't the
Yes.
same."
Yes.
So
Yes.
I want to, I read in your background that you've been active in sports since you were 12, from boxing to track,
Yes.
even Muay Thai. What did sports teach you early on about yourself? And then I have another question for that. But like, we'll start
No,
there.
no
What
problem.
what did it teach you? What did it teach you?
So, great question. I love that question, my solid. So, 12 years old. So, actually, the first sport I started was, don't give me the line. I started football. No, no, no. It was tennis. I did a little bit of karate. It was actually at a church, right, before I had converted. So I converted to be Muslim at 12. So at that time, it was like all this stuff I was doing. So I did tennis, did karate, and I did football. I did a little bit of basketball. Didn't go follow through too much with that. Did track and field, and I think my last sport that I really was it was boxing. So I did Muay Thai recently. Like Muay Thai did that about a
Okay.
year or so ago. So I'm still like
Okay.
involved with that, still learning and so forth. So I'm trying out different things. So one of the things that my aspiration is to try to get into like this art called Chinese boxing and Chinese
Hmm.
martial arts. So that's something I'm looking into now. But yeah, Muay Thai is like the latest, but that's all the sports that I was involved in. And alhamdulillah, it made me who I am. Like being in these sports, and being an athlete and being athletic, it created discipline. It created a better boy to be a better man. You know what I mean? So like and that's how all this is transitioning. But yep,
That's really interesting. I think the role of you had an outlet as a young boy to translate into
yes,
something that was tangible and that taught you, that could be translatable from, and I've heard friends and people that I know that were either did taekwondo competitively for most of their youth and growing up. I've actually heard them as adults in our mid to late 30s going, "Oh, but I remember that one match that I had and I thought I was failing, but then I readjusted and I had to reassess this." And but they apply it in a business sense. And I'm like, interesting
right.
how it activated. I think it activates certain parts of your brain that you learn how to translate it into different spaces. Do you think that that's kind of where it worked for you?
Yes, yes, it did. Yes, it was kind of like it was kind of all of those coaches that I were under.
Hmm.
They were like my mentors.
Yeah.
Because of course the statistic and sad part, I didn't have a father figure. So those
Yeah.
those coaches were my father figure, and so I had that
Yeah.
somewhat that guidance there. So it was pretty cool.
That's really good. Tawakal Speak.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you had that, that you had that outlet and you had those figures that played that
yeah,
role and helped keep you on a path,
yeah,
that got you here, because all of
yes,
it was intentioned. All of it had its reason. Was there ever a moment where the fitness shifted from being just something you did versus something you were called to teach? Like when was there ever a moment that just kind of shifted it, or was it just kind of several moments that led you on that path?
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, so what led me on that path, I mean, I was like, dang, at first I didn't think nothing of it, like I'm gonna teach this or I'm gonna be a personal
Hmm.
trainer. And it would, but what actually led it is I always want to be in the health field. So my biggest aspiration at one point was to be a cardio surgeon,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Yeah. So
No, that's a good listen. I wanted to be a
yeah,
pediatric neurosurgeon, and I took one class in college, and I was like, "This is not for me." Like, God bless.
yes. So that's how, I'm like, I never thought, but looking back, I'm like, how those coaches that I had over me helped me and other students and other
Hmm.
kids or young
Hmm.
adults grow into something better. I'm like, this is something I could look into. So the transition was that. Yeah, but I was in the health field, became an EMT, then got involved with the Philadelphia Fire Department, got hired with them. And that's how actually I became a trainer because they had like a fitness trainer initiative
Yeah,
where they would
yeah.
waive, you don't, do this and do that. You can go on a course. The fire department waived this. So I was like, you know what, I can do this. And it was like a bunch of other trainers on the fire department. And it was like, yo, I think you'd be good at it. You're very athletic. So it was just all this inspiration, motivation, and talks of doing it, but not really yet clicking for me. And then it's like,
I guess.
okay, maybe I can. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's really cool because sometimes
I feel
it's
like it's a
like you
calling now.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that you're
Yeah.
kind of like maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna just do
Yes.
this, and then you end up at the end of it, you're like, oh, that this is where I wanted to be. This is it's not a maybe.
Yes.
It's a for sure.
Yeah. And it's not too far
So
apart from the health field. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. And it goes to show. And I was telling somebody recently, I said sometimes you think you're gonna go one direction. You're like, I'm gonna do this, and you have this broad idea of what you think it's supposed to look, but then you end up doing something different that may not be far away from it, but
Wow.
it's not exactly what you thought it was going to look like. It looked different for you because we only have the realities we see are based on our perspective and what we've learned.
That's
So
true.
sometimes it can look very limited when the field can be very expansive. So like you said, you're still doing health, you're still doing wellness, you're still doing
Yeah.
human, needs.
Yeah.
It may
Yeah.
not be a cardiac surgeon, but you're still
Yeah.
making sure somebody's heart is healthy because the reality is you're
Yes.
still doing the work to keep people healthy.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing how
so,
law works.
that it's subhanAllah, like how you end up
Yeah.
starting one place and then you're like, I didn't think I was going there, but
Yeah.
this works better. This works better.
Facts. Yes.
Um, and I think you touched on this that you mentioned wanting to help youth and elders, and
Hmm.
then that where does that drive come like to give back come from? And then the idea is like I feel like you kind of touched on when you were talking about the father figures that were your coaches that maybe
Hmm.
poured into you. Is it kind of like a way to give back to the spaces that you felt
Hmm.
maybe gave to you and to just be present because there might be somebody out there that's looking for that support and you
Right
don't
on
even
point.
know?
Right on point. Like
Oh,
I will, I would love to give what I didn't have.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's the hardest thing because like, how do you get when you didn't have? But you start learning as you go. You do your own research and
Yep.
you go. Like
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong learner, so I learn about how I learn about teenage trauma, how they think, youth brain, how they think, and what they go through, and so I'm
Yeah.
still learning in the process and teaching at the same time. So yeah, yep,
But that's how I think that's something, a paradigm that we grew up with, thinking that we had to learn everything and be perfect at it before we could move forward in it. And I'm learning now have the audacity to just go, like start. It's the step that's in front of you. Don't worry about what's the result going to be. Because when we're not looking for the result, we're seeking, and especially if you keep Allah as your center, Allah's going to keep
oh
nudging
yeah,
you in the way that you need to
yeah,
be.
yes, yes,
And it's clearly what's been, happening for you as you've gone on this journey. And
yes.
so,
Oh heck
you know,
yeah.
I want to ask you, like, what you said, you've moved from a 9 to 5, running
Hmm.
so I read that you ran your own gym,
Hmm.
and then you did the 9 to 5, and then you started running your own gym, and that's a big challenge. Like, well, how did you take that on, and what made you take that leap? Like that's I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell you that's scary.
It is.
For me, the idea of leaving the nine to
Yes.
five work because it's secure, but
It's secure,
there's, you know,
stable. Yep.
again, yeah, you're like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
have a job, and then now it's like,
Hmm.
this is
And it was a good
risky,
one
and you
too.
know, yeah, exactly. You're like, but
Yes.
what if I succeed? Like, what if I succeed in this other endeavor? Like, what am I leaving on? Am I leaving something on the table by not exploring the opportunity? You know?
Yeah, yeah. So I would like to say long story short, but it's always gonna be long, a little longer. So when I left, all right, let's take it back. I loved what I did. I love what I did. Like it was,
Yeah,
I was. They call it a whacker when you like really try to be into your craft. EMT
yeah,
paramedic.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
I tried to get that. I had a couple of equipment on my belt. Like I was just, that
You
guy.
were
But
really into it.
and I really enjoyed. I was into it, and I've really got along with a lot of my coworkers. I really did.
That's
Like,
good.
a lot, and I got along with really well with firefighters, paramedics. So I was a part of the first EMT class in the fire department.
Okay.
So that was rough because when you are new change on the department, you
Hmm.
got the old timer, you got, so it was really rough, but it was still a good opportunity. We went through some difficulties here and there, but it was really good. And to be the first is pressure. But now it's like 8 EMT classes that graduated from the fire department that's on the department now. So I still keep in touch with a lot of people that I'm really cool with, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, people from my class. So we all keep in touch. I've trained some of their children, trained them in my gym before. So what caused me to leave, it was more so the Islamic perspective. So
Okay.
uh, yeah, it's interesting. So I wanted to start like an Islamic group on there, right? So 'cause they had everything. They had like Irish, Jew group,
Yeah.
this and so forth, and I think an all African American group. I was like, all right, let's try
Hmm.
to get a Muslim group. They like, so I talked to a lot. It's not many Muslims in the department. It might be more now,
Hmm.
but it wasn't many when I was there.
Okay.
It was like if you count on the like good 20 of us,
Okay.
that you knew of that
Right.
call themselves Muslim and stuff like that. So, unless it was secret, but and
Right.
once I said that, I'm like, let's group up, and I started asking my emails, my sheikhs, how do I go about that? I know the fire department is predominantly maybe this race and so forth. I'm like, will I have any issues? What do you think? So I start going around getting some information, doing my research, and it was scary for everybody. It was like, whoa, like, you know, you might want to be careful. I remember one email telling me, he's like, you better be careful. He said, you got a group now that'll help you, but they'll eventually fall off because that department's going to put pressure. Because at that time, this was before COVID.
Right.
After COVID, it was a lot more. After COVID happened, it's a lot more leniency now with Islam, a little
Hmm.
bit more,
Hmm.
allowing
Hmm.
hijabs on different jobs now and so forth. And so I'm really
Yeah.
glad for that. But yeah, before then, it wasn't like that. So when I tried to start to get that on, oh man, it was tough. You know, getting
Yeah.
threats to me and my teammates getting fired if I wanted to do this. I was trying to get us to be able to wear kufis on the job to match our uniforms, kind of be very more pleasing to the job of what I can do or what we can do to help still be uniform, and not
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
look
Hmm.
like we're trying to do what we want, get
Hmm.
merchandise.
Hmm.
That didn't work out. I had, you know, different other C's that were like, oh, I'm not working with him. Yeah, he who is this Muslim guy? It was like more in that so, and it was like, oh, it was a lot. So I'm like, man, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. So I made like Instacart prayer 7 times.
I believe it.
That Dad, like all out. Let me know if this is the right decision to
Hmm.
make the lead because at that time I was starting Quran class. I started to get really more into my deen. It was a lot of other things that was going on I didn't really like. So I'm like, I'm asking Allah, if I'm being extremist right now, like what's going on? So it was
Hmm.
like something in
Hmm.
me didn't feel right to
Hmm.
stay on this job. So even though it was a good job, all that benefits and so forth, I'm like, oh man. So I mean, I consulted with like a couple emails, a couple states. They like, well, look, you made us a card. How do you feel? We can't really go against that. Like, that. You did this, you did that, you did every step. I'm still look at this outcome. So it was like back and forth for like a good 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Remind you, I've lost like 14 plus friends to like gun violence, some natural causes.
Hmm.
So one of my friends of mine that I call like my little brother, he wasn't blood, but I called him like my little brother. That happened.
Yeah.
He was murdered. He was murdered, and that hurt it. And I was like, that was the last straw. I was like, you know what? I took FMLA, family medical leave, absence, did that, came back. It was just so that didn't look so good, and it was just
Yeah.
all bunch of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I gotta go. So I basically left, resigned, put my 2 weeks notice in, and I believe in my heart and my soul that Allah was just pushing, 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 because I wasn't gonna leave. I was gonna just
Yeah.
suffer. I
Yeah.
was like, nah, but I think Allah was like, nah,
We're good at that. We will sit there and be like, "Nah,
yeah,
you're fine. You'll be okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be okay.
yes,
Push
yes,
through." You don't
yes.
give up at the first day because it feels like almost you're
Yes,
giving up on something, but you're not.
yes. You know what I mean?
And
So
so,
every
yeah,
time I prayed Carter, I felt stronger to leave, but I was ignoring the signs, right? So signs became more clear, and Allah was like, "You just being hard headed, like
you,
you,
yeah. Before Allah sits there and it's just like, I'm just gonna shove you
yeah,
out. Like, we're just
yes."
just do it. I
So
know. I've been
I
been
did
there, done that. It's okay. I
exactly,
understand.
yeah. So I did that, but I'm being nice here, so it's a whole long story, but I did that.
Yeah.
But before then, I was planning a little bit. Did the personal training course, working my way towards things and stuff like that. A little bit of planning and investment. So I did
Hmm.
that, and that took a leap of faith. But when I took this leap of faith, I might not have got what I really wanted to get, but I got more
Hmm.
of so that'll be better for me in the hereafter.
Subhanallah.
And I'm like, Allah always say, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Is you he's the best of all planners. So I'm
Hmm.
like, wow. So, I got to learn some Quran and be more involved in the community. It was a struggle, it was a struggle. It
Yeah.
wasn't the best. I tell everybody because everybody comes to me. Look, everybody comes to me like I'm just a leave a job counselor. Oh, how did you do it? And what do you do? What's the magic? I'm like, listen, keep your job, work this out, work it out. Don't do what I do. You know what I mean? Don't do what I did or something
Yeah.
like that. So I give the best advice on that nature. I'm like, look, get consultant, make sure this is intact first because you learn from these things. You learn from mistakes. You learn all this stuff. And people
Hmm.
respect it. I don't tell people straight to leave and all that type of stuff. So I'm like, just make sure you got something in place. Give them the old okie doke, good old advices, and that's it. But
Hmm.
it was a good journey, and I'm glad I did it. I do miss the work, like not the finances of it, but I do miss the work and really educating the community on health and really taking care of people as the EMT. And
Hmm.
rushing, like it's like an adrenaline rush going to a 911
Yeah.
call. I know that's weird.
Yeah.
We might want to cut this out, but yeah. So yeah, but anyway, just adrenaline to get like to get there and make sure you feel like a superhero. That was the closest thing that I ever
Yeah.
felt to having a cape. So yeah,
But I
like a
think that's
cape.
that's really, yeah, yeah. But I think that's interesting to note that you said you felt like a superhero. There was something that was involved in that for you that you felt satisfaction,
Yeah.
like you did something. And I think a lot of us are
Right.
always looking and we have different ways of getting that. Like for me, I like fixing a problem. Like if somebody comes to me, it may not have
Yeah,
anything
that's
to do with my department, but somebody would come be like, "Hey, I got this problem," and I'm like, give me all the details. And I sit there and I'm like, oh, well, you
yeah,
could
right.
do this. You strategize this way. And if you do it this way and you do it, and they're like, that's all I
Yes.
needed. I'm like, great, cool. Have fun.
Right.
And then I'm like, I'm gonna go do something else now, but it's like, oh, I did it.
Yes.
I think I fixed the problem,
Yes.
and then seeing your results helps. Because there's that dopamine hit that's not associated with a screen
Yes.
or that's, but I understand it. It's not, everybody's got their different, space.
Yes.
Um,
And I
Mine
think
is
I believe.
fixing
I'm
problems in
sorry. Go ahead.
baking. I was saying mine is fixing problems in baking. I'm like, ooh, look at this
Yes.
cake. It's a nice cake.
Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna eat this
And I
cake.
think yes. It's all with you. Like, listen, my weakness is cookies. Cookies, man. I love them. But listen, that's I believe what made me alhamdulillah, mashallah, to be the trainer I am today. Like
Okay. Yeah.
having that experience with the fire department was not a waste because it installed
Mm-mm.
discipline. We went to the pre-military academy and it installs health knowledge, and so forth. Like, and I install all that into what I do, with training and people feel, it's still on my resume. People feel comfortable, like, oh, you know how to save a life. So if I train with you, if I train with you, something happens. Oh, you got the knowledge. Yeah, okay, tag. Wait a minute here.
Had a
Hold
trainer
on.
like that.
Wait.
I had a trainer like that. I couldn't stand
Yeah.
him. I couldn't stand that trainer. He was like, "You can do it." I was like, "No, I can't." He's like, "Yeah, you can. Don't worry. I won't let you die." I was
Yeah.
like, "I don't know if I believe you. Like, I'm dying out here." And he's like, "You're not. You're
Yes.
fine. I'll be able to do it. Fix it." And I'm like, "I
Yes.
don't like you." So
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. It's a
Yes,
good
that's how
skill
I
to
get.
have in your field.
Yes, yes, yes. But
So
yep.
it's not a bad thing. Medical. So speaking of
Yeah.
training, what's the difference of being a good trainer versus a transformational coach? What is that for you? Like, what does that entail?
All right. So the difference is, um, wow, that's a good question. Being a good trainer, I mean, being a good trainer is like I would say is the norm standard to try to achieve. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also general and broad across the board to be like, I got the same knowledge, you got the same knowledge, she has the same knowledge, he has the same
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, and we're all good at it. We know it. I think a good trainer is when you implement the knowledge, though, right? Same
Okay.
thing with this, like Islam. So a lot of my, sheikhs and imams, they like to compare what I do to the deen and stuff like that. Just implementing that what you learned and how you can help others and how you can still help yourself with that knowledge. I think that's a good trend. But transformational coach should kind of be a similar explanation, but the big difference is you're really transforming yourself and your students at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
A transformational
Okay.
coach is more like a teacher, more like a teacher, more in tune, more holistic, more dealing with the mental health. Even though
Mm-hmm.
trainers should deal with that as well, but that's what adds in when the transformational part. Like you're really investing in yourself as the leader and also into your students that you're working with or clients or per se. And that shows the big difference. People can tell the big difference when you're trying to connect with them with energy more as just being a straight up and down trainer and bam, 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 that's it. Boom, you're done. Transformational coach, like, how do you feel? What's going on? How is this going on? You kind of turn it to so many things. You're transforming into like a barber shop. You're transforming into this. You're
Uh-huh.
transforming into that. Like it's people will start comparing you to other things and they start become more related to you because they're transforming right along with you while you're transforming at the same time. That would just be my opinion explanation. I know it might be different from different
No,
perspectives from other professionals, but yeah,
but I think it's important. You touched on something, and I think the key word that would be applicable here is you're present. You're present in the
yeah,
moment
yes,
versus being
yes,
somewhere else. And a lot of times, even in our concepts with, our relationships with everybody around us, it's being present in the moment,
right,
not listening to respond, not listening to argue, not, but like listening to
right,
understand, listening to say,
right,
hey, I'm hearing you say this. This is what it's making, this is what I'm feeling because of it. Where is it? Are we in alignment, or did I understand it the way that you wanted? Or is this like an internal filter and actually trying to build something with someone, not because you're trying to help them grow, but it's also helping you grow because it might cause all of us to explore something different in ourselves as we mentor somebody else. Of
right,
I remember having that issue. I don't know if I really
right,
solved it or if I just put it on the side. I should
right.
reassess that. Let me see what's going on internal to me and how I'm approaching this situation.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's a very important key that you just said. Like that's because okay, not to get into so much of details of like I would say like back to the trainer part. I had to learn, whereas though every I always say like if I'm doing a promotional video, I might be like any old trainer, but this is what I
mhm,
focus on. Like I
mhm,
did an interview a while back and I was saying they was asking me what do you believe is your biggest specialty besides everything else you do? What do you really
mhm,
believe how people come to you for? Like what do they come to you? I'm like I just work on the mental health, like
mhm,
when people come into my gym. or coming to the gym, period, like how's your mental health? Like, I mean, I'm asking teenagers all the way to the eldest adults, right? Even if teenagers might not understand, I get a little bit more simple with them and they kind of get it right. But just to install that in them, so to be like, I've never, if I ever never had a adult growing up ask me that, I know coach asked me that. And now that I'm adult now, I understand why he asked me that. So he
Yeah.
brought that to my attention. And with the adults, every time I asked it, they never heard that type of question before, right? Even though it can be broad in general, I'd be like, how's your
Yeah.
mental health? How's your mental? What's going on? They'd be like, I never had a trainer ask me that. Like, wait a minute, just
Right.
work me out. Like, I'm not here for counseling therapy.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's just, but that is important for a transformational coach to understand, or a health coach to understand, because if something's not right, something will throw your performance off. Something is not right, then we might have to take a different approach today of how we can work with you today and how we can change the curriculum up because all of your mental health, because that changes a whole lot. Yeah.
I'm curious to your perspective, and this is really just your
hmm
perspective on how much you think mental health actually impacts um, our physical wellness.
Mm. Mm.
Like I said, I do so my background is
Ooh,
in
you're good.
biochemistry and
Yeah, you're good.
immunology. And I have a lot of really strong beliefs about how our mental health actually, I think, can damage our whole body, but from a chemical standpoint. But I'm curious to hear from your perspective. What do you think you've seen? And do you think it really, how big of an impact it carries?
So I believe it carries, Bismillah, I believe it carries major impact. So like, like in Islam, we got counselors, imams and counselors in our community.
Mm-hmm.
You got Muslims that
Mm-hmm.
Muslim
Mm-hmm.
men counselor. It's very major. Psychology is very major in Islam and in life, period. And what happens is if you're going through stress, you're depressed, you start to feel things in your body. You don't feel right. Some men be like, my stress spot. Some women be like, I got a stress spot.
Mm-hmm.
It just don't, like,
Mm-hmm.
my mentor is a naturopathic doctor, and he says that, like, you be like, it'll throw you all the way off physically.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even
Yes,
move how you want to move. Like, you might be like, I just can't do it today. I'm not feeling it.
I
So it's like
do.
I
I do
can't even move my
because
arm. Me too. Like, we all
I
guilty of it,
just
right?
trained. I just trained for triathlon, and there were days that I'm like, I could do
Ooh.
1,200 meters in the that the pool. It's
Right,
mental where I like sit there and I'm like, oh God, I got
right.
to do this, and I'm like, I'd be done. I'm like, Alhamdulillah, I did it. But then there were days
Yes.
that I'm like, okay, and I get 600
Yeah.
meters. I ain't got nothing else in me. I'm like, I barely
Yes.
made this one. I was struggling.
Yes.
I can't. You know what? I'm
Yes.
like, all right, I gotta. Something else is bugging me, and I'm not focusing. So
Yes.
let me leave
Yes.
the pool and let me leave the
Well, you know,
the track. Let me stop biking because I'm clearly not in it,
yes.
and I need
You
to
know
figure
what?
out what's going on.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Hmm.
That I was getting ready to say, I
Yeah.
believe in my opinion, like that is one of the ways that Allah shows us to take a pause, allows it to happen. Take a pause. Really, it's a gift to know that you can be in tune with yourself like that. Because a lot of people
Hmm.
can't. They don't know. They like you said, they keep pushing, pushing, and that's how burnout starts. Or that's how you get injured. That's how it's like for Allah to give you that gift like that, just at that moment, and then you can reflect, sit back, isolate or something, and then come back 10 times better. Man, I'm like, so it does. It affects the whole thing, and it's like Allah be like, pause, because it's
Yeah.
getting there, and it's like, you can't keep pushing forward. Stop, go back, take a step back, and go 10 steps forward. Yeah.
And that was something I had to learn this training round. So I've done this triathlon 3 times. Each time I've
Nice.
improved
I
on
didn't know
something.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do
Alhamdulillah.
half
Yeah.
marathons. I'm training for a half marathon next year, inshallah, and then do the triathlon
Allahu
again in
Akbar.
September. But
Okay.
the idea
Alhamdulillah.
is that it's exciting because now I'm like, okay, I finally got my swimming is better. Because I used to
Right.
listen. Everybody's like, I learned. I knew how to swim by like don't drown policy. Like just here, get in the water, don't drown. But you tell me be
Yeah,
like do
yeah, yeah,
freestyle. I'm like, how you want me to turn my head and not drown? Like I'm gonna
yes,
swallow the water. I took swimming
yes,
lessons and I kept practicing. And and again, it was like little nudges. There were things that were introduced to me, like the idea of swimming with us, like a lap swimming snorkel, to focus on my
yeah,
form versus on my breathing. I was like, I'm gonna look
Yes.
stupid doing this. I was like, that's enough. I'm wearing full hijab and I'm at this pool and it ain't people looking like me in this pool. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I got into the pool and subhanAllah, the one lane that was open was another woman and she's using a snorkel. And I was like, I paused and I looked at her and I said, thank you for wearing that. And she's like, why? I said, because I was sitting here ashamed. And she goes, girl, everybody wears these. I was like, I ain't never seen nobody wear this. And now that I did it, all I see is everyone. I was like, how did I not see? But somehow it wasn't visible to me at the time. But this practice, this
SubhanAllah.
training session was a lot of, I don't feel good. Let me pause and see what's going on because it was like,
Yeah,
push through because you should be able to do this. You know, you can do this. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
let me stop because if I'm going to push my body, I'm going to hurt myself or I'm not going to be
Exactly.
able to work out tomorrow or
Exactly.
let's scale back. It's okay. And I can come back again
Yeah,
and try another time. It's not the end. It's a pause. It's a comma. It ain't no period.
exactly. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna touch a little bit more on that. It's true. Because listen, I'll tell my students.
Hmm.
They be like, kids cracks me. They be like, I don't think I can do it today, my mental. So I'm not your average coach. Like, you gotta come in to get
Yeah.
your mental. I'll be like, okay, yes, you need a mental day. They be like, coach, what do you mean? I know you need it. No, no, no. Then when they come back or we reschedule a session or whatever the case may be, they be
Mhm.
like, Coach, I needed that. Thank you. And I'm like, see, this is why it's important. They was like, yo, I never really like, I'm not saying I'm super unique, but it's not a lot of us doing it. And that's what I'm just
Yeah,
advocating for. We gotta
I
do that.
agree.
Like, whether it's free, you're paying for, just make sure you take that break and then we gonna make sure we figure that out as you come right back. It's a mercy of
Yeah.
Allah. So alhamdulillah. Yep.
Alhamdulillah, because
Yep.
the reality is there's going to be things in life, like you and I talked about with work or with,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
relationships around you, whether it's a family member or friend or somebody that's, somebody at the masjid or, there's so many places. And you
That's
think,
right.
let me push through because if I give up, then I failed. But the reality is
Yes.
putting a pause and reassessing is not a failure. It's let me double check what I'm feeling. What is it actually
Yes.
attached to? And let me
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
take a moment to calm my brain down because my brain has a right
Right.
over me. My body has a right over me too. And we will be
Yes.
questioned on that. And so don't abuse it.
Yes. There you go.
As I say this, as I slept like 2 hours last night and got up and got on a 5 o'clock flight to
I'm
Chicago.
about to say, I'm like, wait a minute. I know I ain't perfect either, but hey, it's the truth though. It's a
But
reminder
I
to
was
both
like,
of us.
but
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a
yeah,
nap today. I'm gonna take a nap later today. I ain't got much
yeah.
planned, so I'll take a nap once I get to the hotel. That's okay. It's okay.
It's a
Alhamdulillah.
reminder to both of us. Yes. So
Right.
we both busy.
But exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
funny. 'Cause I'm like,
be
whoa.
listen. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not gonna say me, I'm not gonna talk about not knowing when
Yes.
the cues are. I'm good at it, but sometimes I'm like, I can push a little harder. It's fine.
Yes.
And I'll regret it much later. And that's the other
Yes.
thing. It's gonna catch up. It's always gonna catch up. There's never a time that you ignore extensively what your body needs and it's going to whiplash, whether it's your body, whether it's your work, and that burnout will whiplash on you and
Yes.
then you'll crash. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yes. Yeah, it's not working. Nope. Nope.
And
Nope.
so I appreciate what you've been sharing. And I think there's something, we've been talking about the mental and emotional side of fitness and why it is central to your work. But I'm curious as
Yes.
to like, how do you and I've seen this when I've watched you develop on Instagram. I think that's actually really how we've coordinated and talked and I've been watching your
Right.
work, Barakallah Feek. And I think that you do a lot of work of integrating leadership development into physical training. So like how do you do
Yes.
that? And especially for young people in a world that feels I mean, even as being, in my late 30s, I'm sitting here like it's chaos all the time. I don't feel like I got off the plane and I was like, let's see what's today's chaos. Like, okay, great. I'm
Yes.
just gonna say I'm gonna ignore that today.
Yes.
I want to go get
Yes.
some food now.
Yes.
But like, how do we? How do you
With all
integrate
the
that?
unexpected stuff that might happen. Yes.
That
Oh,
part. That
so
part.
uh, yeah, yeah, that. So, um, all right. So one of the things that I do my best to push is, you'll probably start seeing me promote more. I do it behind scenes though. Is I don't want to say the word forced, but my clients be like, my students be like, oh my God, coach, we didn't sign up for that, but you know what? I see the idea of it. So I teach them how to coach. So I basically teach them how to coach because it helps them learn better what they're learning right now. You understand what I'm saying? The more you
Hmm.
teach somebody how to be a leader or how to coach, you're gonna be start making it more serious now. Like, oh, I gotta learn this because I just was exposed holding the pads or doing this and doing that, and I thought I knew what I was doing. So they see the method to my madness now, and now they be asking now, all right, are we gonna do coaching today? Are we gonna learn leadership today? This, that, and the third. So we all work together. Like, one session I had the other night, I had my clients in a circle, and I trained. I would do like boxing with one of them inside the circle, and I would ask everybody outside the circle, what are they doing wrong and what are they doing right?
Hmm.
So it was like a test for them to say, are you really paying attention? But this was like leadership, it was coaching. This was holding each other
Hmm.
accountable, giving each other flowers or what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, whatever the case may be. And I always ask after I do these drills and do these insights, how did you feel? So I say, keep it honest, there's space for that. Oh, they might say, oh, I was nervous. Oh, you know what? I had to learn patience. Oh, I had to fight against my ego. They think I did
Hmm.
know what I was doing at first, but then now everybody looking on the outside and trying to correct me on this. So it's a whole bunch of things, and that's how I incorporate it. Um, Also, it goes along with the Alpha Wolf name. So I was like,
I was
all right,
gonna
I'm gonna
ask.
name,
I was gonna ask that.
yeah,
I'm glad you picked that up.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, so it goes with the Alpha Wolf name. So I'm like, but I'm teaching that method of what I learned from that Discovery Channel clip and film about wolves. It ain't just about always leading and have that strong ego and I'm the boss, I'm
Hmm.
this. It's also about let me come back so I can look at what's around and see make sure everybody's okay. And then y'all can make sure that go back to the leader, make sure he's okay or she's okay. And so that's what I incorporate and my students love it. It's not easy though. It's not easy, but they love it. They love it.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
But I think there's a benefit to what you said that you're teaching them how to give both compliments and criticism in a
yeah,
constructive way, but then to also
yeah,
receive it. Because a lot of
yeah.
times we don't know how to even receive the compliment. We've been like, nah,
That's what I teach too. Yeah, I'd be
that's
like,
not me.
take it.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
yes, yes.
To this day, somebody's like, you did a good job. I'm like, really? Me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it wasn't
Yes.
me. It's fine.
Only
But
lab. Yes.
the reality is, we need to
Yes.
learn how to do that. And if we've not
Yeah.
learned that it's not arrogant to accept the
Yeah.
compliment, there's care in that too. Like Allah
Yes.
sending somebody to give you a compliment, and you're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. Allah's like,
Yeah. Say
you're just
Allah like,
like
come
people are looking
on.
at you. So Allah's like, I'm
Yeah.
sending you all the things.
Yeah.
Stop rejecting it. Like I will give you more if you are
Yeah.
grateful. So be
Yes.
grateful. It's very simple.
Absolutely.
Whether it's financial, whether it's in favors, whether it's in people. The more you are grateful, the more. And that's a very stark to me. That's a very stark difference between arrogance and acceptance. So I think the idea that you said you teach your students that ability and it cultivates the alpha mentality.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
hope comes out of that mentality for for your students, and in their future?
Well, I hope, especially my youth, teenagers. I mean, adults. So I'll be specific on each one. So the youth and the
Yeah.
teenagers, we talking 7 to 18. I would love for them to get a grasp as they grow older how to have that leadership clarity and mental clarity to be like, all right, let me implement what coach was teaching us throughout me growing up, right? They might not do it all, might
Hmm.
forget some things, whatever. Things change, things happen as they grow. But just to know that they had some different, cause that's what happened with me when I was doing boxing at a young age. It incorporated discipline, but it also, I tell my youth, it incorporates coolness too. And they be like, Coach, what do you
Hmm.
mean? I'm like, people will believe that you're cool because you're learning a self-defense martial art, right? I said, so
Hmm.
take that in, but
Hmm.
also suppress it and say, okay, discipline yourself, humble, don't let it get to you, but also know that you will be looked as a leader just by knowing that. Besides, like your friends not knowing that. So they will always, this is why I always teach them how to teach somebody because you're going to have your friends, you're going to have somebody in your family. Oh, you do boxing or you do
Hmm.
this, you do that. Can I learn from you? this and that, and you got to
Mhm.
know what you're doing. So it's basically just teach them responsibility, and I hope they get that out of it. Like, um, how to implement what they're learning here and all the rest of the aspects of life. They decide to go to college, decide to go to trade school, and
Mhm.
just implement focus from that. And then with the adults, I just rehealing,
Yeah.
implementing what they're being taught at the gym, implementing in the life that they're still living and want to live more deeper into. As like, let me heal. Like I'm being more disciplined.
Mhm.
My time management is better now. I have more clarity. Like I have adults that'll come back like, yo, coach, my clarity, my awareness is better. I'm like being more alert, being more aware, making more conscious decisions since I started with you or so forth. And that's just adults. We all become in kid mode when we got somebody else teaching us. So it brings us back to
Mhm.
that nature, and then we're like regrowing, rehealing. I've even told a lot of my adult students, like, why don't you have like a light intervention with your family? Because I've
Mm.
done it, right? So I try to
Yeah.
teach what I've done more, Now, if I do teach what I've not done, I'm working on it, and then I have people them work on it as well. Like interventions with like your family, if there's anything you're going through with trying with your mom, grandmom, dad,
Mhm.
something that they
Mhm.
did while you were
Mhm.
growing up, and you haven't fully
Mhm.
healed from that, and it's still affecting you. And a lot of them try it, and they be like, yo, like it's a big difference. So it's we're not quote unquote certified therapists and all that, but coaches, and trainers, you get into that aspect, but they do have training courses and classes on that where you learn, which I'm doing now and learning and stuff like that. And it's well needed. Like you said, it goes back to how this affects the physical and your outlook on things and your thinking. It's amazing. So that's what I hope they get out of it, all in one net. Just implement this stuff in life. And if you got to protect yourself, then you know how to protect yourself. But what happens is we teach non-bullying, not to bully. We don't want to bully. So I always say to my, it's not about
Mhm.
bullying because you know how to put your hands together, right? Or get in a stance, or you know how to kick, do a knee. It's really just for self-protection and to
Mhm.
protect others that you love, right? But other
Mhm.
than that, it's not no negative reason why you should be getting into something.
I think that's important. I think what you're working to do is to integrate, like you said, the mental health aspects of fitness. A lot of times it looks like just go to the gym, work it out, like shut off the
Yeah.
world. But I've been learning how to work out without anything in my ears this past year. I said, I'm challenging myself,
Oh yeah, that's
nothing.
tough. That is tough. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you're like, I'm going to be running for 40 minutes. Are you crazy? Like,
Yeah, you need something. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I'm going to hear these
Yep.
thoughts that I'm like, oh
Yes.
God. But
Yes.
once you start separating yourself from that and you become more self-aware, like you said, the awareness starts to show up, and then you
Yes.
start appreciating things differently, whether it's your muscles, how they move, you
Yes.
become more in tune with your
Yes.
body.
Be more in tune with yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and then that workout becomes more of a spiritual experience versus just a physical experience. And like you said, I think it raises up the awareness. It's like, oh, I'm moving different. I see different. I feel different.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
think it goes back to there's something that you that this conversation's kind of hit on, when, and I don't know the exact hadith, but it's the idea of like when you start facing Allah, you start to hear, like, you have Allah and you're hearing Allah and you're seeing Allah and you're feeling, once you started to center it that way and remove the excess noise and the weight
Yeah.
that you put upon yourself, you're like, oh,
You know what?
life isn't that heavy. It's
You know
really not
what?
that heavy.
You're touching on something good, right? Because I always, right. So the when I put on sound therapy a lot for my training. So it'll be
Mhm.
like sound
Mhm.
therapy or nature
Yeah.
sounds when we're training.
Yeah.
My clients are like, what the heck we got going on here? So they be joking around.
He's
It's
like, you got a yoga class going on here? You got a yoga? Like,
yeah,
we
like
doing
what
something
what are we doing? Pilates? So it's like you should see it a bit. It'd be funny. I'll be the bit. So I'll be like, no, listen. But now they like, yo, it helps because you don't got all the distraction of this, that, and so
Yeah.
also I tell my clients and my students, take a break, take a deep breath. I said, really? So when I was doing things in the park, doing fitness and movement in the parks and stuff with people, I said, take a deep breath. I said, calm. I said, what do you hear? They're like, oh, I hear the birds. Oh, I hear this. They be more in tune with their hearing because they're taking a deep breath, calming themselves down. They're like, oh, I hear this. I hear a leaf falling. So I'm like, this is a superpower we have to tap into. This is what the law blesses us with, and God blesses with, and it's amazing. And so I try to implement all that in there.
That's awesome. And I think
Yeah.
I want to shift a little bit, and does that lead into your work in with the well store? How do you translate that into moving from physical just fitness to holistic wellness and natural products? We talked, but I think we've kind of been touching on that.
Hmm.
You know, that it's not just one aspect. Like well,
No.
health and wellness it's multifaceted.
Yes. So. The well store, right? It was me and another coach that started that. It was like I had to say to myself, it was really a reflection on me. You know how the email is like I'm my mouth closer to my ears, and they go cook was I'm talking to myself. It was really for me.
Right.
I'm trying to own the store to buy for myself. So so I'm like this,
I
but
can't be
listen.
mad at that.
So listen, so it was like, all right, if this is going to be a thing, it has to be all around the board. Like buying and then really to teach our communities about this, like you
Hmm.
got the idea about black seed, it cures everything except death and so forth. So you got all this sea moss talk and all this stuff that goes on. So I'm like, all right, I want to bring this to my community. Yeah, black seed soap, African soap, black soap, all this and
Hmm.
that, and shea
Hmm.
butter, and the knowledge on that, because when you talk about health and wellness, you want to do it
Hmm.
all the way around the board: hygiene,
Hmm. Yeah.
physical fitness, mental wellness, but they say financial wellness. All that
Hmm.
aligns with each other, and that's where I think a lot of us, including myself in the beginning, we have dropped the ball on, and it's like it's now time for us to step up in this role to teach our communities better. What that all falls in line. It's not separate. It's just like in
Hmm.
Islam, you talk about finances, Islamic finances. You got this, you got that. So same thing with the health field. It's somewhere down the line where the systematic, it separates all that stuff, all the
Hmm.
politics, it separates
Hmm.
where it should join right in together and collide and be as one. So that's why where the well store came from. Like, hey, while we train our client, they could buy like natural soaps, they could buy natural air
Hmm.
fresheners, they could do this
Hmm.
and that. Who doesn't like to feel like, yo, hey, I can get some smell goods and work out, some natural cologne and
I
just
think that's a win-win situation.
yeah, exactly. Buy some natural deodorant. Like,
Yeah.
you feel like I want people to feel like they at home away from home.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And especially, it moves away from the big box kind of store bought, mass produced stuff that has a lot of additives in there that could be, not could be, that are,
Yeah.
I would say allegedly, because
Yes.
there's nothing been proven, but allegedly
Yes.
harmful.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I, I dabble in my background, my master's is in health law.
Yeah.
So,
See, there you go. That's that's
right.
amazing. Yes.
So, alhamdulillah, but it's the idea of, we have these gaps and we need stuff that works for us. So like if we go back, I told you my background is in biochemistry and human anatomy. And but the thing is, I've noticed that, and I have this theory, and I don't know, I'm sure there's some data to prove it, and I'm sure somebody's gonna listen to this and be like, I'm gonna go do some of that. I'm
Of
like, that's fine,
course.
take the research I did.
Yeah.
That's fine, whatever. But I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
a lot of us that are not a lot of us, a majority of us in Black and Brown communities are obviously not indigenous to this land. It's been, somewhere between 500 to less than 100 years, that, a couple of generations versus,
Yeah.
but it's causing, because of the trauma that's associated with why, what's come with us and our genetics trying to catch up, because Allah
Yeah.
gave us the ability to heal. Allah gave us the ability to rebuild and be stronger. Like our,
Yep.
our bodies will adapt. And
Yep.
it's an amazing thing. But the reality is we still have a lot of illnesses and things that pop up. And I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
we
because
do.
we're not from this system. And that obviously the capitalistic system is very detrimental to our health and our wellness. This is
Yeah,
gonna be a
that's a
2 hour
whole nother
conversation.
conversation.
I know, right.
Yes. That's a
But the idea
whole,
is
yep.
right.
Hmm.
But the thing is, it's
Yes.
we need sometimes the stuff that looks like it's alternative is really not alternative for us. Is what we should have been using anyways, because our body's like, oh, I'm relieved. Thank you. This is
I'm
you've been giving
relieved.
me all this other stuff that I don't want to have. I want to go that way.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I think it's important to have
And
those
that
those
and that
places and those venues.
yeah. I totally agree. And it's like that's I'll put it this way. This occupation right here, this profession, um, uh, it helped me get closer to Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
Oh man, it's like, you know, Allah, I always like to call myself the hard-headed believer. Allah tells us what is good for us and what is not. And then when you start dipping into that stuff that the Lord talks about or the Hadith talks about, you be like,
Yeah,
dang, oh man, like it's right in front of our face. Like, hold on, like, I feel good to go, I do black seed twice a day.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
like, and it's like, it makes me feel good. I had
yeah,
I do sea moss a lot. I drink healthy
hmm
juices. Let me like,
yeah. You know,
I
Allah
was
told
hard
me
headed the
this.
whole time.
I listen. I think, but you know, it's something I regularly remind people when I'm like, listen, Shaitan is the one that confuses. If you're confused, that's not from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Mm, mm,
It's your ego and Shaitan. You probably should reassess and go
yes,
back and
yes,
figure out what's going
yes,
on.
yes,
Because Allah's message is very clear. It's consistent.
yes,
It's clear. It doesn't change. And
yes.
so, you know, it's one of those things where someone's like, "I'm confused." I'm like, you're
Yeah,
fighting with what you're being hard headed, and I'm
yeah,
like, and I'm not gonna judge you because
yeah, yeah.
hi, I'm part of the hard headed club. I'm
Me
be like,
too,
no.
me too. Yeah,
I'm like,
hello.
nah, nah. I'm like, nah, that's not the message. That wasn't the
Yeah,
message. And
yeah,
then they'll hit me again. I'm like, no, 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 that wasn't the
yeah, yeah,
message.
yeah.
That was I would.
No, I'm ignoring
It
that.
was a
I'm ignoring that.
right, right, right. I'm like, I was just supposed to get another job, not
Yeah, yeah,
oh, I'm supposed to stand up for myself. Oh,
yes,
okay,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
what.
yes.
Okay,
So I'm right along with that crew. Yep.
yep. And it usually comes from fear because it's like, well, what if? What
Yes,
if this
yes.
goes wrong?
Yeah, you know
What
what? When I
if?
was doing, I meant to say that I'm sorry
Yeah.
because we was on the mental.
Mm.
What helped me so strongly on that, I did therapy since I was 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
So my therapist used to always say, he said, Jordan, you have that what if demon. He put his hand just like this on his cheek. I said, oh man. He wasn't Muslim, but he's Christian. So I'm like, what if demon? He like, yeah, you got this what if thought every time. You're gonna have to get rid of that. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, now that I know a little tiny bit more knowledge about Islam, I'm like, Shaitan does that. So I'm like, I'm comparing the two, what he was saying back then, and like thinking now, like, yeah, Shaitan put doubt and you lose hope. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, yeah, it's deep. It's deep. Yep.
And that's something I had to work on with a coach with like, well, what if this? And when it's like, what if?
Yeah.
Like, or and the other option is what if it doesn't go any of that way and it goes better than you thought? And now you left it on the table and missed an opportunity that Allah was putting in front of you because you were afraid of the what if. Instead of saying Bismillah,
Preach,
like
preach. You talking to me right now.
Musa alayhi salam literally was standing in front of the sea.
Yes.
And he's like, we either and I got this sick and Allah's okay, like Bismillah, and then and the
Yeah.
sea splits. And
That is
under
crazy.
what theory? I've had, and subhanAllah, it all kind of came full circle for me earlier this year. I just had a lot of things that I was like, well, what if, and then it was
Yeah.
just like, let me let go and see what happens. And
Yes.
just let me just do what's in front of me. Just the one
Right.
thing that I can do right now. And
Right.
subhanAllah, it was like, oh, that's what it means to just
Mm-hmm.
let go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
there are times that I'm like, I don't want to let go. Like, please don't
Yeah, I
let me
don't.
let go.
No.
But
Yeah.
realistically, we make the dot, and it's the I want to say it's the dot. Um, how do I put it? It's not ربي إني ما أنزلت إلي من خير فقير. It's the one that Allah have oppressed myself, so forgive me. And most of the things that we
Yeah.
do to ourselves, we're oppressing ourselves. We're like, don't oppress others, but also, yeah, yeah. We'll sit there and be at the end of it and be like, that was my fault. Like I can't blame nobody else. I'm sitting here. Yep. And it's like Allah, free me from myself because we can always be our own barriers
I mean,
between,
and,
something else. And
and
so I think,
and
like
that's
you said, it's the
important.
what if. That what if is the barrier. It's you're looking at them, you're like,
Yeah.
well, but our scope is
Yeah.
so limited. That's the thing is, and I think you're trying to teach these kids that your scope, your what ifs are never going to fill in all the potential what ifs. Allah is
Yes,
the one that
yes.
controls them, and
You
Allah's
got you got
kingdom
all
is
this in front of you.
expansive.
Yes, yes,
Just let it go. And don't worry
yes.
about the result. Just start moving. And you never
Yeah,
know. You might not be a
yeah,
surgeon, but you might shift into health in a different
yeah.
way.
Yes, 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 yes. So, and to that last thing with that, I'm one of our mentors, and this is like a financial conversation. I said, hold up. He said, yeah, man. He said, listen. He said, I prayed for this amount of money. I looked
Mhm.
at him. So he like, so this what he said though. He was so serious. He said, wait, so you don't believe that Allah can give me that? And that was a learning lesson for me. I said, whoa. I said, we get into that. I'm like, oh man. He was like, yeah. He was like, I'm not praying for it on a bad note. I'm like, I need it for this. I want to give to this. I want to give to that. He broke it down to me.
Yeah.
He was like, so to that point, I was like, wow. And that was the teaching lesson. Like, yo, we gotta believe Allah is almighty and like he can do whatever that, yep, yep. But anyway, yeah,
Yep.
I thought that
No,
was
I had to learn that the past couple of years was why are you asking pennies from the king of all things? Like,
Mm,
just give me this little bit. And I actually had a moment earlier this year where I ended up crying on my
mhm.
way to work because I was like, "Ya Allah, please forgive me. I haven't been
Yes.
asking you for breadcrumbs instead of
Yes.
believing that you could give me what
And
I
that was my
want because
mentors.
I didn't
Yes.
believe
Lessons.
that I was worthy of it. But you've given me so much more that I'm not worthy of that I didn't even ask
Yes.
for." So I was like, "I'm
Yes.
so sorry." I was driving. I was like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
Like, this is not
No,
swear
it
on the
hit me too.
highway. But I
My
was like, "Oh
mentor
my
was talking to
gosh."
me, it hit me. It
Yeah.
hit me. It hit me. I was like, I felt bad. I'm like, oh, I just doubted the losses.
and
Yes.
that's
Yep.
and that's the
Indeed.
part when you really take reflection of the things that there's it I had to actually lay it out. I think I did it early this year. I said there's so many things in my life logically that make zero sense.
No, that's
There's
true.
so many things that if you assess them based on statistics, these things should not add up.
Mm,
Allah has protected me in so, and I'm so forever like it's just like never will I ever, like, inshallah, I never
yeah.
have that moment where I'm
Yeah.
like I can't. I'm like, you know what, we'll figure it out. Like
Yeah. He protects us
it'll
from so
pan
much.
out. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
I think that that's something that I'm getting from you, and I'm picking up from just your journey and your goal
Yeah.
for these kids is to
Yeah.
open up the world and not make it
Yeah.
so limited and make them in a place that they believe in themselves.
Yes.
And what that and
Exactly.
if believing in yourself means translating belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because now
Yes.
your
Yes.
scope isn't so small.
Yes. Perfect. There you go.
I love it.
Top notch.
There we go. We're there. But I'm curious for you. Where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years? Like, where do you praise to take this? Since we're talking about, future hopes and plans, and where do you see this going for you? I'm
So
watching you grow. I'm watching you on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, okay. Like, I like this. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Barakallah
yeah,
feek. Let's go. Let's go.
yeah.
Let's go. Let's
Alhamdulillah,
go.
my feet. So likewise, like, but what okay, that's a very beautiful question. And it's very head-on question. Right, I would say just to keep it in short, I
Mm-hmm.
really see myself, and I say this in all different interviews. I see myself taking it a step further. Like I was just telling my students. More of a vision. It's more than just the fitness, this and that. It's bigger than that. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
we're holding different standards. We're raising the standard now. Like
Mm-hmm.
wellness has to be implemented, continuously implemented in everything that we do,
Yeah.
right? So I see
Mm-hmm.
from 5 from now, I would love to be a natural medicine and naturopathic doctor. So that's my future goals and
Inshallah.
turning things in that I am investing in to clinics, wellness clinics. So you have this option, you have that option, you have this option, where we are the one of the biggest resourceful wellness place that you can come to alongside with others, and we all can work together and combine. Like the plan is to combine with everybody that has good intentions, that has pure thoughts about how can they transform themselves and who can I go to, what are the resources, because they are restricted in some ways. You know what I'm saying? And that's systematic, and that's a whole nother conversation as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But it's
that's
opening up those avenues because at the end of the day,
yeah.
we're the ones that take care of ourselves, each other.
So that's where it's at. And then you see me promote like the whole campaign. That's the thing that I
Hmm.
got this. Actually, one of my clients gives me ideas all the time. It was like, Coach, you the hope. I'm calling you the hope. Like it was like a rap name. I was like, what? Okay, all right. Well, I'll go with that. I stick with that. They're
Respect,
like, you the
respect,
hope.
the hope. Take it, take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
So I
one.
was
That's
like,
a good one.
okay.
It's a good one.
So I started doing the whole campaign, and I'm like, all right, and, and I use the campaign word because how politics run campaigns, and I'm like, we're
Yes,
just gonna
yes.
campaign it and just run it that way and talk about it and have people come together. But my 5-year plan is that seeing myself running clinics, wellness centers, holistic coffee shops, and so forth. 5 years and more, right? 5 years and more. This is what I
Mm,
plan on investing in, having
yeah.
selling holistic products, and and whatever Allah decrees, everybody tries to, I know you know this, like you're deep in the community. They try to push you to certain things that we run away. We got our track shoes on. You should be imam. You should be, it's like whatever Allah, yeah, that part. Whatever Allah takes me on that journey, that's in the plans too. But, if that happens, really my goal is focusing on what I'm doing now. But if Allah force my hand on that, then on certain things like that, then that's fine. That's in the plan. That's not out the plan. That's written down just in case that
There
does
you
happen.
go. There you go.
So
Inshallah,
I try to keep it short. I'm sorry it was general, but yeah,
no,
I got a
no,
whole
this is
thing.
perfect. No,
Yeah.
this is perfect. Barakallah feek. And I really do, inshallah, we see you continue to grow and to have your impact on the community. I think you are going to be a pivotal part of the area and just in the general Muslim community in the US. I think that you have a lot to offer
Alhamdulillah.
and a
Alhamdulillah.
space that can be encouraging for the youth. That is we say that's our next generation. They need us. We can't leave them hanging. And so I look forward to watching this and watching you grow. Inshallah, we'll do like
Likewise.
5-year check-ins. Maybe we'll do less than 5-year check-ins and be like, hey, this is yearly check-in. Where are we at now? Like,
Yeah, motivate each other. Yes, yes,
there you go. There you go. And
yes.
so my question for you is how can people stay in touch and how can people reach out to you if they're interested in doing work with you? What's the best way?
Oh, okay, great question. So people can reach out to me on my Instagram, which is at AlphaWolf Wellness LLC. I have
Okay.
a bunch of Instagrams, but that's the main one.
Okay.
Always willing to give out my number. Business number is 267-203-6345. My email is AlphaWolf LLC at gmail.com.
Okay.
The website is www.alphawolfwellness.org. And people that want to get in touch with me, like we're doing virtually, we offer those services, or you can also contact
Okay.
me on that, or stuff like that. I try not to be hard to find, or hard to
That's
reach.
good. That's
Yeah,
good, inshallah.
so
And I'll put all your information in the description so that people
yeah.
can get in touch with you and have links to that.
Yes,
Um,
please do. Because if you're not in
and
Philadelphia, that's fine. We still like like we're doing, and
listen.
yeah,
We're,
yeah,
we're gonna. I'm eventually gonna make it to Philly. I haven't made it to Philly yet. I
no,
got
no
you. I
problem, no
got some other
problem.
people
Take
in
your
Philly.
time.
Somebody
You're
asked me,
busy.
they're have you been to Philly yet? And I was like, I've done Chicago. I
Yeah.
do Atlanta. I do DC. I was like, I ain't made
I
it.
know it's the
And
closest
DC's not
things.
that
Yes,
far.
that's
I'm like,
all
DC's
close.
not
Yeah,
that far from Philly. I'm
yes.
like, I could do
Well,
that.
well, look, look.
No,
I
inshallah.
I want to give you your flowers. Like keep
Hey,
doing what you're doing.
peace.
It's not easy. I
Alhamdulillah.
know we had these alhamdulillah, I know we had these conversations behind the scenes. Like keep doing what you're
Yeah.
doing, and it's not easy.
Thanks.
And may Allah reward you tremendously in this life and hereafter.
Barakallah fi.
Wa fikum wa
Alhamdulillah.
ni'am. It's alhamdulillah. So keep doing what you're doing. I love it. I love it. That's all.
Thanks. Thanks. Likewise.
Yes,
And this is how we do
yes,
it. This is how we do it. Thank you
yes.
so much for being on with me today. Like,
No problem.
Jazakallah khairan. This was, I was like,
Wa antum.
I want to highlight his work. And then you respond. I was like, yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to respond,
Yeah,
but like, yeah, that was fast.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
Yes, no problem. Yes.
um, I appreciate it.
Today's episode reminded me that strength isn't about pushing harder, it's about being grounded, consistent, and connected. May we all keep showing up with that same balance, inshallah. I want to thank my brother Abdul Malik Muhaiymin for sharing his story and his heart and for reminding us what community care really looks like. You can find Alpha Wolf Wellness linked in the show notes. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. This is Seriously Sara. I'll see you next time.